Hello friends, this is Carla Marie and this is June the 8th in the evening reading of Spurgeon's Devotionals. And this scripture verse is a very good one. It says, "Thou shalt see whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not." Numbers 11:23. So I went in and I read a little bit of the account in Numbers 11, and it said that Moses said, "The people among whom I am are 600,000 footmen, and thou hast said," he's talking to the Lord, "I will give them flesh, that they may eat a whole month. Shall the flocks and the herds be slain for them, to suffice them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, to suffice them?" And the Lord said to Moses, "Is the Lord's hand waxed short? Thou shalt see now whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not." So Moses was doubting the means by which God was going to feed this multitude. And then I skip down to verse 30. "And Moses gat him into the camp, he and the elders of Israel. And there went forth a wind from the Lord, and brought quails from the sea, and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on this side, and as it were a day's journey on the other side, round about the camp, and as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. And the people stood up all that day and all that night and all the next day, and they gathered the quails. He that gathered least gathered 10,000 homers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves around about the camp." And it says, "And while the flesh was yet between their teeth, before it was even chewed, the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord smote the people with a very great plague." So, should we question God? If he tells us he's going to do something, we just need to stand back and watch the Lord. The people were judged because they did not believe that God was going to be true to his word. He brought the feast to them in the quail just falling out of the sky. But then he gave a plague to the people for their unbelief. So, let's read the devotion that Charles Haddon Spurgeon has with that one. "God had made a positive promise to Moses that for the space of 1 whole month he would feed the vast host in the wilderness with flesh. Moses, being overtaken by a fit of unbelief, looked to outward means and is at a loss to know how the promise can be fulfilled. He looked to the creatures instead of the Creator. But doth the Creator expect the creature to fulfill his promise for him? No. He who makes the promise ever fulfills it by his own unaided omnipotence. If he speaks, it is done by himself. His promises do not depend for their fulfillment upon the cooperation of the puny strength of man. We can at once perceive the mistake which Moses made, and yet how commonly we do the same. God has promised to supply our needs, and we look to the creature to do what God has promised to do. And then, because we perceive the creature to be weak and feeble, we indulge in unbelief. Why look we to that quarter at all? Will you look to the tops of the Alps for summer heat? Will you journey to the North Pole to gather fruits ripened in the sun? Verily, you would act no more foolishly if ye did this than when you look to the weak for strength, and to the creature to do the Creator's work. Let us then put the question on the right footing. The ground of faith is not the sufficiency of the visible means for the performance of the promise, but the all-sufficiency of the invisible God, who will most surely do as he has said. If after clearly seeing that the onus lies with the Lord and not with the creature, we dare to indulge in mistrust, The question of God comes home mightily to us. Has the Lord's hand waxed short? May it happen, too, in His mercy, that with the question there may flash upon our souls that blessed declaration, Thou shalt see whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not. So we are to believe in God and not indulge. I like His word, indulge in unbelief. If God says that He's going to do it, we need to trust Him to do it. He cannot fail. It's against His nature, isn't it? Our God is a perfect God. He's all powerful and He cannot fail. I'm glad I have such a great God, and I know that you are too. So this is Carla Marie reading Charles Haddon Spurgeon's Devotions, and may God bless your day.